What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Evolved Jeeping channel. As you saw on the thumbnail for today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys the new LED factory side mirror lights for the Jeep Wrangler JL and Gladiator GT. These are basically a cover replacement for your stock factory mirrors that has an integrated LED light built into it for some added off-road lighting. One of the first brands that ever came out with a product like this was actually Oracle Lighting, and their first version was designed specifically for the Wrangler JK. Funny enough, their original design is actually very similar to the design you see right here, but unfortunately, when Oracle designed a version for the JLs and JTs, they actually went ahead and changed up the design slightly. So instead of going with a vertical light like the one like right here, they actually went with a horizontal light across the top. What that meant is when they went with the horizontal light across the top, they actually had to go ahead and bump out the cover to accommodate that light. And in my opinion, their newer design is not as appealing as the old JK version. Because Oracle decided to switch up this design, it was only a matter of time before another brand would come into the market and create a product that was similar to their original JK version, but for the JLs and JTs. For Oracle, this kind of sucks because it now means they have another competitor in the market, but for us, it means we actually have two options to choose from for our JLs and JTs. This version from LED Factory goes for just over $200. It is sold as a pair, so you get two covers with the integrated LEDs built into them, and you get two brackets and a handful of hardware to assemble them. What doesn't come in this package is any switches or any connectors, so you're actually going to have to go ahead and get some switches or get a switch pod and buy some connectors so you can tap in some wires. This LED light is actually dual function. It has a white light that can be used for off-road riding. Then it also has an amber light that can be used in two ways. First, what you could do is wire it up to a switch and use it as an amber off-road light, or you can go ahead and wire it up to your turn signals so that you would now have a front-facing turn signal built into your stock mirror. Another important thing that this product does not come with in its package is instructions. I am assuming that is because this product is so new to the market that they haven't gone ahead yet and created those instructions. Hopefully, they will put some instructions together and add them to the package because the instructions for this are actually very important. Luckily for you guys, not only am I going to be showing you guys what this product is and how it performs, but I'm also going to be showing you guys how to install this product in this video. In this video, the instructions or the steps that I follow are going to be the steps that I did to install them. They might not be 100%. And the reason I say that is because there's actually one step in this that I actually end up skipping or going over because I ran into a little bit of problem and didn't know how to do the install. So I will show you guys that. So when you go through and watch this video for my instructions, just keep in mind that these are the instructions I followed and they might not be the actual instructions that the company wanted you to follow. As you can see, we've already got the driver's side mirror installed, but I have not gone ahead and installed the passenger side yet. The reason is because there was no instructions, so I actually needed to go ahead and install one side so that I could troubleshoot the installation and figure out what steps I'm going to show you guys. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to head over to the passenger side of the vehicle and start the installation process together. The first step is to remove the factory cover from the back of the mirror. We are actually going to do this by leaving the mirror installed on the Jeep. The reason is because we have powered mirrors. If you have manual mirrors, what you can actually go ahead and do is remove the entire mirror assembly and then take it over to the bench to do the next step. But if you have powered ones like I do, you have to leave them installed because you need them to be connected to the power so that you can adjust the angle of the mirror surface to access the clips that are holding this cover in place. There are a total of 5 clips holding this cover in place. There are 2 on the right, 2 on the left, and 1 on the bottom. What we need to do is adjust the angle of the mirror surface by moving it all the way to the left.
So guys, I'm actually going to pause the video right here because I actually have an update for the installation instructions, and it's something that I discovered a few days later that will make it a lot easier to remove the rear cover from the back of the mirror. what I discovered is the first step you should actually do is to remove the glass from the mirror housing. This can be done by simply sliding your fingers in behind the glass on the outside edge of the mirror. Then what you're going to do is pull on the glass. The glass will pop out, and when it pops out, there will be some wires behind it. There's going to be 2 wires on the top that you're going to have to disconnect, and then on the bottom, there's going to be a plug that you're going to have to disconnect as well. Once you've done that, you can remove the mirror, and then it's going to be a lot easier to access the 4 clips that are in behind the cover to pop that cover off. Again, guys, this is an update that I discovered a few days later. So throughout this video, you are going to see some parts where the glass is still in, and that is because I didn't do this step to begin with. But this is definitely a step you need to do because it also is going to affect one of the important parts of the installation that I will talk about later. Also, guys, throughout this video, when I come across things that I originally did and have updated, I will pause it and let you know what the update is. I should note that I originally said that if you have power mirrors, you need to leave the mirrors on your Jeep. That is actually not the case. With this new update, you can actually go ahead and remove the mirror from the vehicle and do all of these steps off the vehicle if you want. So that is a small update that does affect these few steps. But once you've got the mirror off, the next part is to go ahead and remove the cover, which is pretty much the same besides the fact that I did it on the vehicle.
To pop this cover off, what you're gonna need is a pry tool and a very thin screwdriver. All you're gonna do is take your pry tool, put it at the top, add some pressure to pull back on the cover, and then using the screwdriver, you're gonna pop off the clips on the inside. I 100% recommend that you take your time doing this. This plastic are very fragile and there's a high risk of breaking it. And I know from experience because I actually went ahead and broke one of the clips on the other side and had to repair it before installing the new covers. Also recommend that you do this in a warm environment because I believe both these plastics will be a little bit more pliable in warmer weather, where in the cold weather, they're definitely a little bit fragile. So guys, just take your time to remove the cover. Now that we've got the cover removed from the back of the mirror, the next part is to remove the mirror from the door. All you have to do is go on the inside of the door and you're gonna undo the 3 bolts right here. Make sure that when you are undoing those bolts that you do hold the mirror because you don't want it to fall and cause any damage. Once you've got the mirror removed, the next thing we are gonna do is remove the interior trim panel so that you can run the wires. To do this, all you have to do is go to the handle, and on the inside of the handle, there's gonna be a panel. You're gonna pop off that little panel, and then behind there is a single bolt. You're gonna remove that bolt. Then you're gonna remove the 2 similar bolts from underneath the armrest. Then at the bottom, there's gonna be these 2 little bolt/screws that you go ahead and remove. Once all of those have been removed, we can then go ahead and pop off this interior trim panel. If this is the first time you've ever removed your interior trim panels, it is going to be a little bit tough because the fit from factory is really good. So it's going to be a little tough. I noticed that the bottom kind of popped off, but then when I started to get to the top, it got a little bit sketchy because what I noticed is the clips that are holding this piece are actually connected to this piece and they were starting to pull a little bit on the plastic. So what I found and what I'm gonna show you guys is I actually took a screwdriver with a little bit of an angle, got in behind right where that clip is, and then popped it out. This avoided me causing any damage to the interior trim panel. And once I got them all popped, all you had to do was simply slide it up a little bit to get over here, and then it came off. The next step after removing the interior panel and mirror is to install the new cover. But before we can do that, we actually have to go ahead and run the wires for the light. To do that, what we're gonna do is take the stock mirror and we're gonna run the wires along the power wire line here. So that goes up in through here and then it comes out through the top right there. To do this, what we need to do is remove this gasket right here. So we're gonna pop that off. Once that's off, you can see inside the path that you can go. It is gonna be a little difficult because it actually goes in and then down and then across and then it comes up here. I have seen on some of the forums that when people are customizing their covers, that they've actually gone ahead and drilled a hole right there just to make it a little easier. That is an option. Or you can follow what I'm gonna do right here, which is a little bit more difficult, but it doesn't require any drilling on the mirror. So all I'm gonna do is take a coat hanger, slide it in through there, fish it through. Once I get it through and out through here, I'm then gonna attach the wire and pull it through. You're gonna be able to see how challenging this is because it's not easy because of the curves, but if you bend your wire enough and take your time, it'll eventually get there. So watch how I do this. As you can see, running the wires is definitely a bit of work. It ended up actually taking me 2 times because my wire actually came off my coat hanger. So I had to do it again, even though I was so close. To be honest, even though I did it twice, it ended up still taking me less time than it did on the driver's side. And that's mainly due to the fact that when you do this the first time, you are gonna have to try and figure out the path for yourself. It kind of takes trial and error on how to bend the coat hanger. But once you figure it out, it's a lot easier on the second one. So just take your time. You can easily do it. If you find it a pain and it's not working, you can always go ahead and do the little drill method where you drill out there. That would definitely be a more straightforward path and probably a little easier to fish it through. Yeah, overall, definitely possible. Just take the time. So now what we need to do is attach the cover to the mirror. But this is where I think my instructions are going to veer a little bit from the intended instructions. And that is because with this mirror, it actually has these little pins right here. You can see these long pins right here. And it's supposed to utilize this provided bracket. I think this bracket either attaches in one of the ways. It is left and right, so it's designed for each one. And I think the intended purpose of the bracket is to clamp it to the shell so that there's less weight on this cover and on the clips. Unfortunately, when trying to figure this out, there was no way for me to figure out how to take the mirror apart so that I could get the bracket in.
Okay guys, so once again, I'm gonna pause this video because this part was affected by the update. As I showed you, the first step was to remove the glass from the mirror. When you do this, this will give you the ability to now install the bracket. But before you install the bracket, the first part you need to do is clip on the new cover onto the back of the mirror. Once that's in place, the next step is to install the rubber gasket that goes on the base of the mirror where it connects to the door. Once that's installed, the next part is to install the bracket. This is done by simply aligning the bracket up to those pins. Once aligned, you then screw it in place using the provided hardware. Make sure that when you're screwing the bottom connection in, that you avoid pinching the wires because you don't want to damage those wires as they are responsible for the adjustment of the mirror. After you've got the bracket installed, the next part is to reinstall the glass. This can be done by simply reconnecting the wires that you disconnected, then pressing the mirror back into place. Again, guys, this part of the installation could be done off the vehicle. The only reason that I've done this on my vehicle is because I discovered this update a few days after I completed the install and already completed the filming.
Now that we have the mirror assembled, the next part is to run the wires through the door. The first step to this installation is to run the wire from the outside of the door to the inside. To do that, we are gonna run a wire from this hole right here, which is where the mirror mounts to, and we're gonna bring the wire through the door to the other side of the door right here at this location. All we're gonna do is pop this rubber grommet off, and that is gonna be where the wire is gonna come through. So what I learned while doing the Boost Auto mirror install is what you do is you actually put your window to this height right here. Then you're gonna run a coat hanger from that outside hole to the inside one. And of course, once you got that coat hanger done, you just simply attach the wire and pull it through. It's actually pretty simple. It's gonna be a little bit easier than it was to do the mirror. So that is a good thing. It's not another complicated one. All you have to do is take your time, use two hands, kind of fish it through. Again, once you figure it out on one door, the second door is gonna be a lot easier. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and run that coat hanger. Then I'm actually gonna go ahead and attach the wire to the coat hanger and pull the wire through. Once we've got that wire through, I'm then gonna go ahead and reinstall the mirror. It's really easy steps, guys. All you have to do is put the mirror back on and reinstall 3 bolts. So let's go ahead and get that done, and then I'll show you step 2 to finish off the wire in the door. So guys, I know I mentioned that I was gonna install the 3 bolts that held the mirror in place, but what I did instead was I simply went ahead and hand tightened just the top bolt. And the reason is because at this point, all we needed to do was secure the mirror in place so that it wasn't dangling off the side of the Jeep. We also don't want to install the bolts at this point because we still need to test out the light to determine if it works. And to do that, we need to finish the wiring throughout the door so that we can test it out. The first step, or the next step of the wiring, is we need to go ahead and reinstall this rubber grommet. To do that, we actually need to make a slit in it to accommodate for the wires. So we're gonna go do that. Once we've done that, we're gonna then run the wires down the door, and then we're gonna continue through the sleeve and into the cab. As you can see, the wires are not long enough to make it through the sleeve, so we are gonna have to go ahead and extend the wires so that the wires end inside the cab. Now that we've got the wires inside the cab, the next part is probably the final part to the installation, as this part is the final wiring part where we're connecting the wires for the light to the vehicle. But to do that, we need to tell you guys what wires are what. So there are a total of 3 wires coming off the light. First is the black wire, which is your ground wire. Then you have your white wire, which is your power support for your white light. Then you have the yellow wire, which is the power supply for the amber light. So depending on how you're setting up, this is all going to be a little bit different. So I've actually already gone ahead and wired mine up because I did the other side, but I'm going to kind of give you an overview of how you can possibly wire this up. Starting with the ground, this is going to be probably consistent with everybody. Either you're going to run it directly to the battery inside the engine bay, or you're gonna go ahead and run it to one of the multiple ground points inside the cab. So it really depends on what you wanna do. For the white wire, which is the power supply for the white light, this is gonna depend on what type of switch you're running. If you're running a generic universal switch, which is just like a toggle switch, you're gonna probably wanna put that near your steering wheel, so it's probably gonna be on the driver's side. So what you're gonna do is you're going to take both the white wires, you're gonna run them over to the driver's side, connect them to the switch, and then from the switch, you're gonna run another wire to the battery or any power supply you have in the vehicle. If you are running a switch panel like I am, it's gonna be a little different because instead of running to the driver's side, what you're actually gonna do is run both of them together to the engine bay through the firewall and connect them to your switch panel hub. So very straightforward. It really just depends on what you're doing in your situation and what you have in your Jeep. For the yellow wire, this is where you have a few options. So if you want to run the amber light as an amber off-road light, what you're going to do is the exact same as what you did with the white wire and run it to its own switch over there, or run it through the firewall and tap it into your switch panel hub. Or you can go ahead and wire it into your turn signals. What's different with the turn signals is you do not want to wire them together. And the reason is because you have a left and a right turn signal. So what you're going to do is on the left side is you're actually going to run that straight through the firewall and then tap it into your front turn signal. And for the passenger side, you're going to do the exact same. Run through the firewall and then tap it into the turn signal. For myself, all I simply did was ran it in and tapped it into the same points that I tapped in for my X-Glow fender lights. Again, I'm not going to go through this. I've already done it, and the reason I don't tend to go through wiring is because it gets a little bit complicated and time consuming, and it really depends on your vehicle and how you set it up. So those are the kind of the steps I would do and the different options. I have set my amber light up to be on a turn signal, so I'm going to be showing you guys that. Yeah, that's pretty much what you're done. What I have done with this system is, because this is a mirror light and it's connected to the door, I wanted to make my Jeep have the ability to still remove the doors. With this kit, because it's just wires, if you simply just wire it up to the power supply, you're not going to be able to remove the doors. So what I have done, and what I'm going to do, is I'm actually going to put a plug on the end of this, and I'm going to connect it into my other port right here. These plugs that I purchased are these waterproof plugs right here. It's a pretty cool kit. I'll put a link below. Basically, you have a male and a female side. This is the female side's on this side, and this is the male one. Yeah, you simply just I follow some instructions online on how to put it together and how to do it. It's very simple, and it gives me the ability to easily be able to disconnect this wire when I disconnect the rest of the door harness wire, so that I can remove the door and the mirror together. So at this point, guys, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is install this last plug. Then I'm gonna go ahead and, well, first test out the system to make sure it is working. If it is working, we're then gonna go ahead and reinstall the door panel, install those final bolts, and then I'll do the fun part and show you guys how these mirrors work.
Is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just give me up. Don't be scared. crack. And if you get in my way, you're gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just give me up. Don't be I'm so gone, no I'm never turning back. I won't stop, I'ma fight until there's nothing left. It's so on, you're gonna be hurting bad. Cause I've been to hell and back. You don't wanna make me mad, I stay strong. You will never see me crack. And if you get in my way, you're gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just give me up. Don't be scared.
As you can see, guys, we finished installing the mirrors and the lights are functioning perfectly. I hope that the montage gave you a good understanding of what the finished product looked like and how it performed in both the day and the night. What I'm going to do now, guys, is give you guys my overall review of this product. And to do that, we're going to focus on the performance, the physical item, and then the installation. So starting with the performance, the first thing I want to mention is that the LED lights that they've included in this are definitely bright. And as you saw in the montage, they did a really good job at illuminating the space around the Jeep. Do I think the LED lights could be brighter? Yes. I don't think these are the brightest LED lights. And of course, you could have brighter ones in this. And that's exactly what you'd want for off-road lights. But unfortunately, there's a little bit of a caveat when you're adding higher performing lights to products. When you add higher performing lights to products, that also increases the cost. And for this item, and for this item's price point, I think the LED lights that they've included are bright enough and definitely do the job that is intended. So I don't think that this product needs brighter LED lights. I think for this price point, this is the perfect solution. This is also my personal opinion, and this is solely based off of me just testing this out at night when I was filming and capturing that content for the montage. I don't have a tool to measure luminance, nor have I anything to compare to. I have never used the Oracle version or seen them in person, so I can't tell you if these are brighter or not. I'm assuming that the Oracle ones might be a little bit brighter, but the Oracle ones are also a higher price point. So I would assume they're using better LED lights. So now let's talk about the physical item. So let's start with the plastic molded cover. So I feel like this plastic mold cover is molded really nicely. The gap around the edges is very consistent. There's no inconsistencies. The texture they've used is very stock light, so it looks really good. You can see here the way that the LED light fits into this. It's a really nice fit. I'm assuming there's probably a gasket in behind this plate that's going to prevent water from getting into it. But yeah, it fits really, really nice. As for the size of this cover, it looks to be about the same height and width. The only thing that's different is the depth at the end of it. So instead of what the stock one did, where it went across and then it angled in, this one just simply goes all the way across to accommodate for the light. It does make the cover or the mirror a little bit bulkier, but in my opinion, I think it works just fine on a lifted Jeep. And I also think it would probably be fine on a stock Jeep. I don't think it's that bulky. I think it looks great. At first, you think it might be big, but once you get used to it, it looks fine. So yeah, overall size of it, quality of the plastic is really good, and I definitely give that a 5 or a star, whatever you want to call it, an A plus. The only thing I don't like about it visually is something that's more of a personal preference, and it's my personal taste, and it has to do with the stainless steel hardware that they've used to secure the LED light. I don't like that it's silver because I think they stand out too much. I also don't like how thick they are. As you can see, they stick out pretty far. What I would like to do, and what I might do in the future, is I might go ahead and paint these black so that they're a little bit less obvious. Or if I can find it, I also might replace them with some lower profile hardware that maybe is also black. So basically, I just am not a fan of all the silver dots. I would rather them be all black and hidden. You might like this look, and to be honest, it does look good. It's just more of my personal preference. So yeah, overall, product is really good physically, both appearance-wise and functionality, it does work. So the last part that we're gonna cover is the installation, and this is probably the part that I have the most feedback for. So the biggest criticism about the installation is the fact that it did not come with instructions. And as you saw in my steps, the instructions were actually very important, because at one point I didn't know what to do because I couldn't figure out how to put that bracket on, and the instructions would have helped me get through that. That being said, you guys do know that I installed these without the bracket, and even without the bracket, it seems pretty sturdy. It seems pretty on there. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's gonna come off, so I'm not sure if the bracket is even needed.
Okay, guys, so we need to pause this for one last time because I need to inform you that I did end up installing the brackets. This part was filmed before I figured out how to remove the mirror and install the bracket. So this part is just me going over what I had previously did, where I did the install without the bracket, and I was pretty much showing that I felt like it did work. And honestly, I think it did. But because I figured out how to remove the mirror and install a bracket, and the fact that it was relatively easy, I do suggest that you do install the bracket because it will give you that confidence to know that the cover won't fall off. You know, again, not needed, but definitely helps with the added weight from the light that we've added to the cover. What we're going to do now is just continue on with what I previously filmed.
I do want to mention one thing about this one is this one actually has a broken clip, and even with only 3 of the 4 clips clipped in, it's still holding in place. So yeah, I don't know if you need the bracket, but it still would be nice to have an instruction manual that showed you the steps to follow. Again, you can follow my instructions, but they are going to skip that. If you want to follow the actual instructions, hopefully they will provide that when you purchase it. Next few points I have for the instructions, they have to do with more of a suggestions for improvements for the brand. First suggestion I have is that they extend the wires for the LED light. They should extend them by about 2 feet, because that would actually get the wires all the way through the door and through the sleeve and all the way into the cap. Another suggestion I have for the brand is to include plugs. I really think they need to include 2 male and female plugs so that you have the ability to quick disconnect this wiring harness when you're removing the doors. This brand needs to understand that this is a Jeep, and removing the doors is something we all like to do. And if they do not provide those plugs and someone wires that in, the person will not be able to remove the doors after they install this. So definitely think they should include the plug and also extend the wire. So those are the 2 suggestions I have that they should do. Some optional suggestions that I think they should include in this is, first, they should include some additional wire so that they can wire from that plug all the way to the power source. Next, they should include some fuses, because fuses are important when you're installing any lights. You want to be protected so that nothing happens. And then last 2 things would be a switch and also some tap-ins. The switch would be very useful for the white light, and then the tap-ins would be very useful for the turn signals. For myself, the switch would have been useless because I have a switch panel, but for someone who doesn't have a switch panel, it's definitely something they're going to need to complete the installation, and it would be nice if it came with the product and they could get it all at once. Maybe it's just an option that they can also select when purchasing. You know, either way, it's still something that's good to have. So guys, at this point, I don't really have much more to say about this. I think this product's really good, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody who's looking to add some lights to the side of Jeep. Quality, craftsmanship, install, all that's pretty straightforward. I hope my video has helped. If you are interested in purchasing this, I will put a link below to the LED Factory website for this product. If you are planning on purchasing this product or any of the LED Factory products, you can also use the code EVOLVEJeeping to save yourself 15% off your order. That's a really nice bonus that LED Factory gave us. So not only did I have to thank them for sending me this product and letting me test it out, but I also have to thank them for giving me that discount code for you guys. So guys, if you have any questions or comments about this product, feel free to post them below. As usual, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Keep evolving, and we'll see you guys on the next video.